All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started today. Happy last day of March to all of you guys that are joining us here. We are going to do a little bit of housekeeping at the beginning, getting everybody hooked up to audio and video and all of that good stuff. And then as you are joining us, make sure to go into your toolbar, probably at the bottom of your screen, maybe at the top of your screen, depending on how you have your platform set up, and find the Q&A section. So throughout the presentation today, we will be doing some fun interactive stuff. We'll be taking some polls, asking you some questions, and giving you the chance at the end to ask anything that's at the forefront of your mind. And we'll be happy to answer those questions. So find that Q&A, make yourself comfortable there, and welcome to our presentation about Costa Rica. So here on the screen with me today, you see some other faces that I'll be introducing you to here shortly, but let's go ahead and get started. So poll number one, this is kind of fun, just like I said, just to get you guys comfortable with your control panel. And do you know, what does Pura Vida mean? What does Pura Vida mean? This is basically the motto of the entire country of Costa Rica and its people. So what does Pura Vida mean? Does it mean crazy life, beautiful life, simple life, or exciting life? Well, take a guess there, take a shot in the dark if you're not quite sure. What does Pura Vida mean? We do have some people answering here, and it looks like that you've all gotten the answer correct. The answer is simple life. You've probably also heard it referred to as pure life. And basically what it means is no stress, no fuss, and no worries. So moving right along here, my name is Ali Rodriguez. I am basically your MC for this presentation today. I have a lot of people on the line here with us today. Like I mentioned, if you have been joining us for our other webinars, you may see some new faces that I'll be introducing you to here shortly. But a little bit of background about me. I moved from the great state of Texas about 5 years ago to the Central American region and have had a blast jumping from country to country down here, and excited to share my experiences with you guys. But a brand new exciting announcement we have is that we have added a new team member here with us, Daniel Smith. Hi, Daniel, welcome and congratulations on your debut of this webinar today.
Thank you, Ali. Yeah, so I've been doing real estate for 15 plus years, have done all types of real estate. I'm very passionate about world traveling, and I'm taking all my experience and knowledge and now working with these lovely people and helping people from around the world buy tropical destinations. And if you see to, I think it will be on the left of your screen, there I am in Costa Rica, and the last trip I went was on Costa Rica. I was there for almost 2 weeks, and the weather could not have been more beautiful. And you see me set up there in my little office, laptop lifestyle, and just really enjoy living and visiting tropical destinations. So I'm happy to help and happy to help answer any questions.
Beautiful, perfect. Yeah, and I see these tropical pictures here just make me want to be on the beach. I'm up in a high rise here in Panama City today, so I could definitely be putting my toes in the sand somewhere like that for sure. Also with us, we have Andrea Martinez. Andrea, welcome to the webinar, and say a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Ali. I also love your pictures, Dan. It's like I would like to be there under the sun in the beach right now. I'm also in Panama City. As you can see, I am an Ecuadorian. I am Latin American expat in Latin America. I lived in Ecuador all my life. I studied medicine there. I am a pediatrician and was having a private practice in Ecuador, and moved to Nicaragua about 6 years ago. That was the first country that I lived in Central America. I started doing medical missions in Nicaragua and became a medical director in a foundation called Help Them Help Themselves. That's how I met my husband, Patrick, who is the founder of that foundation. And we lived in Nicaragua first, and then we started moving to other countries like Belize. And right now we are in Panama. But thanks to being living in Central America and moving around, we were lucky enough to travel to all the 7 Central American countries, including Costa Rica. So I'm very happy to be able to talk about Costa Rica with Ali and Dan and Spencer, and that we can all learn more about this beautiful country.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Andrea. So you did allude to our other special guest here with us today. We do have Spencer Hebert here on the line with you guys. So Spencer, welcome.
Thank you very much, Ali. Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on here. I figured I'd show my face just because I've been on a lot of the webinars in a picture, but I'm always in hiding, but I'm here live with you guys today. Excited to be here. I'm a co-founder of EcoVillages. I'll do a kind of a brief description of what EcoVillages is. We're here to talk mostly about Costa Rica though. We have Patrick Hebert, who's our other co-founder, my father. Andrea, who you've met. Juan Rodriguez is the financial guy. He's in control of the money. And then Herman Gallegos, who is our chief architect. He is the lead of our architectural team and design team. And what we do at EcoVillages is we design communities and homes throughout Central America. That's kind of our main focus to that region for a lot of reasons, but the practicality of it. And we'll jump over to the next slide here. Kind of dive in. I'll go just slightly into my history a little bit and why it's relevant for EcoVillages. But I grew up sailing on the west coast of Canada. Lived on a sailboat with my dad, lived on a motorboat, and then back to my own sailboat. I also worked in the marine industry during that time, working on boats of all shapes and sizes, mega yachts to small little runabouts. But one thing that really boats have, most boats, particularly liveaboard boats, have in common is kind of their sustainability, their natural eco-friendly nature, because you're not very consuming when you live on a boat, minimalism, and the freedom that comes with that, the liberty that comes with living on a boat. And those happen to be our 4 main pillars of our philosophy. Is really trying to take what all the benefits we had when living on boats and bringing that to land, and kind of trying to design these communities in a way that's very practical, and giving people the option. Mostly liberty is a large point here, giving people the option to live as freely as they want, however they see fit, whether you want just a home that is a vacation home that you can go visit and makes you some returns when you're not there, or if you're kind of more if you want to go full into it and live off the land and have your be a part of the community there, and the community orchards and gardens and everything. We design communities that are really give people the option to do that and be more self-sufficient, more self-sustained, and less reliant on the outside world if they see that to be fit. So that's kind of the background, a very, very brief description of EcoVillages, but we're here to talk about Costa Rica. And I've actually been a few times, and I've been up the West Coast, which we'll talk more about the details of different places. But most recently in November, I was in Costa Rica with my dad, and we may or may not have been looking for some land on the South Caribbean coast, the Puerto Viejo area. Very beautiful and very cool vibe there. And that's not going to make any promises, but you may or may not see an EcoVillages community coming there in the near future.
Wow, perfect. That is some exciting news there. And just to kind of close the circle for you guys, so we get asked a lot, well, what makes you guys experts? Why should I really be tuning into your webinars? Why should I be listening to you? I mean, there's so many people out there that could give advice. And the truth is that each one of these countries has certain nuances. They have different quirks about them, and doing business in those countries and living in these countries. And so since we've been there, we've done it in the multiple countries as business owners, as people just living this, I guess, liberty kind of lifestyle. We're able to speak about it confidently with you all. So we'll move right along here. So poll number 2 today, why are you considering Costa Rica? Why are you considering Costa Rica? Maybe it's on your long list. Maybe it's on your short list. Maybe you're just here just to hear about Costa Rica. Maybe you're taking a virtual field trip or something like that. but why are you considering Costa Rica? There's lots of different reasons that people do. Maybe it's a location interest. Maybe it is an investment interest. If you're looking to own a property and like Spencer mentioned, have it be rented out the times of the year that you're not living in it. That's something high on a lot of people's lists. Maybe you're planning for those golden years of retirement and you want something in between for now. So lots of different reasons people choose. And it looks like you do have a multiple choice here, by the way. You can choose multiple different options that fits your scenario, but increasing quality of life, that's always big on the list. Decreasing cost of living, yep, absolutely. And that actually, along with climate and exploring nature, those are our top 3 today. So decreasing cost of living, ideal climate, and exploring nature. So I think you have come to a good place to get started on learning if Costa Rica is the right fit for you. So let's move on ahead. So I just mentioned a little bit of why you're here. You're here to explore the relocation questions that may be at the forefront of your mind. We are going to tell you the truth. We're going to tell you good stories. We're going to tell you some not so good stories, but the reality is that nowhere is going to be perfect, but it has to be perfect for you. And taking that one step closer to knowing if Costa Rica is right for you. So Andrea, I'm going to turn it over to you here and tell us where in the world is Costa Rica?
Thank you, Ali. So Costa Rica, the name is República de Costa Rica, or Rich Coast would be in English. It is located in Central America. It limits in the north is Nicaragua, on the south is Panama, and in the west is the Pacific Ocean, and the east is the Caribbean. The area is about 51,000 square kilometers, and it has about 5.2 million people. Most people are located in the center of the country. In 1948, it became demilitarized, so Costa Rica doesn't have military, and at the same year, they had a new constitution. It is the 50th richest country in the world because of its good political and economical activity. So it is a really good country to be in if you wanna be in a country that has a good infrastructure and good healthcare. This was said by the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. And the capital of Costa Rica is San Jose. It has about 1.42 million people in the metropolitan areas where most people are in the city. It has 14 volcanoes. 6 of the volcanoes are active. The highest point of the country, because you have to know that it has big mountains, volcanoes, but it also has the coast. So it has the higher area. That's why it has different climates as well. The highest point is the Cerro Chirripo, and the highest volcano is the Irazu. It has also many islands. One of them is the Isla del Coco that we're going to talk later about it. It's a remote island. It is located in the southwest of the country, and the Isla Calero, which is the largest island in the country, which is located in the northeast. Carlos Alvarado is the president right now, the current president of the country. The main language is Spanish. But you would also get a mix of other like Creole, specifically in the Peruvian side, because you have a lot of people that come from Africa, and the indigenous languages. The currency is the colón costarricense, and it has an exchange rate of 6.41 to 1 compared to the American dollar. And why are people like you choosing Costa Rica? So this is a little bit of the poll that Ali was showing. One of the things is this digital nomad visa. Many people want to work remotely as digital nomads from the beach, be able to go anywhere in the world and know that they can stay as long as they want. Before, they can stay in Costa Rica with a tourist visa for about 90 days. But now there is a better possibility. There is like a digital nomad visa to stay in the country and work there. And it has some things like that you need, some requisites that, like, for example, showing that you have an income, stable income. Ali will talk about it later when we talk about residency, but that is one of the things that people are really attracted to. Also, another thing is the healthcare. Costa Rica has one of the best healthcare in the Americas. You would get really good doctors and really good equipments and hospitals there. the quality of life as well. When people were saying that better quality of life, of course, you're going to find that in Costa Rica because of the weather. Many people that are living in places where the weather is too extreme want to go and dream to go to a tropical country that you can go to the beach and at the same time have places like good supermarkets, good healthcare, have good banks, the best things that you can find in the city, but in a tropical paradise. So that is one of the things that people are really attracted to a place like Costa Rica. And well, most of the Central American countries have all of this. Is there also additional bonuses like the Eco Adventure capital of the world? It has like many places to go. You can do hiking, you can do good surfing, because it has two coasts. You can go to the Caribbean and go to do sailing, boating, fishing. You can go to beautiful islands, see different cultures. There are cities in Costa Rica, the center cities like Atenas, that you can see many different Spanish colonial architecture. So it all depends on what you like. If you want to go to museums, that is more like relaxing type of tourism, or if you like to be more adventurous and go to caves, things like that. The climate, as I was saying, is great if you want more warm weather, like a tropical one, or if you want to be in a place like it's more spring-like, more temperate, you would go to places that are more in the center of the country, that are located in valleys that have beautiful weather. There are established expat communities that we're going to talk about, and it has great infrastructure. If you want to see how the highways are, they're always trying to update the highways, the hospitals, the water, the sewage. All those things are working pretty well in Costa Rica. Of course, nothing is perfect. They still are working on it as any third world country, but it is compared to many other countries, it is doing pretty well.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. And, something you mentioned is that, this quality of life. And one of the components of that quality of life for a lot of people is this cost of living. And I know, Dan, that you were just in Costa Rica and you have some thoughts about the cost of living and what you experienced personally. So talk to us a little bit about what people can expect to find when relocating to Costa Rica, and as compared to what they probably are experiencing in North America, Canada, the States, and other parts of the world.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, you can significantly reduce your cost of living. As it states right here in the slide, a single person here can live comfortably for about $1,000 or $4,000 if you own your own home. But like Ali said, I was just recently there, and if you're really thrifty, you can live really beneath your means. Like if you can go to local markets instead of the big supermarkets. And then the next slide, we're going to get into actual real estate. But if we're talking about just your spending habits throughout the month, you can actually, I would say, one-third, one-fourth of your normal cost of living, but easily if you really want to. So you've got all your things here. It shows you the price of movies, of what it would cost. Where I am locally, you'd be looking at 3 or 4 times that amount. So if you really want to, and you're looking, and this is one of your big checklist marks, Costa Rica is a great place where you can actually live a lot more comfortable and beneath your means, and save on those expenses.
Yeah, and before we move to the next slide, I just want to point out some things here, specifically like utilities, for example. If you are living in one of those northern places where it gets cold and you have a heating bill, you're not going to have that down here in the tropics. Obviously, you don't have a heater, but you will see that the cost of electricity in general is quite significantly higher than what you would expect there. I mean, energy power costs about 18 cents US per kilowatt here. So you find ways to lower those costs, right? So if you use fans, or if, let's say, you live on a coast somewhere, you're going to enjoy those tropical breezes. You're going to open your windows more. But another thing is that the region has really adopted is the idea of the mini split. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with what mini split air conditioners are, but they only cool certain sections of your home at a time so that you're not unnecessarily paying for electricity that's not being used, for example. So there are ways to do it. Again, electricity is one of those costs that you're going to incur wherever you go. It just tends to be a bit higher in this region. But your cleaning help, I do want to touch on that because it does go with quality of life as well. You know, you can hire people to do your chores as frequently as you'd like for, you know, dollars on what you would spend to have that same kind of help in North America. So just some notes there, you guys. Cost of living is really what you want it to be. You can find homes that Dan will talk about here in just a minute to fit your budget and your needs, as if you're coming as a single person or as a family. And just know that each place, depending on how attractive it is and what the demand is there, meaning places that are higher in tourists or higher in expats, you're going to have a higher demand, which means the prices are going to be a little higher. So it really depends on how off the beaten path you want to be as far as what your cost could or should look like. But yeah, Dan, talk to us a little bit about real estate.
Sure. Right quick before I do that, I live in northern Canada, so that utility bill is mine's a lot higher. Just on heat alone, I'm around $500-600. Spencer, I know he's in BC, so he can probably attest to that. But then also I have cleaning, and right there it said it was, you know, $4 and some change, where the average cleaner here you're looking at least $30-40 an hour, so significantly lower in Costa Rica. Okay, real estate. So I've got 15 years plus in real estate. I know the real estate market in Costa Rica and pretty much all over the world. I know the real estate market. This Costa Rica market, it's kind of similar to some areas. It really depends on the area that you're going to go. But if you're looking at, say, an apartment style condo or townhouse, you can be somewhere between the 200, the low twos. If you move in more to a single family home where it's going to give you more land, better views, less neighbors, you're going to be at that, you know, 400 to 450 range. But you're going to have all those other advantages. You're going to have more square footage. You're going to have that space. You're probably going to have those amazing views, and you're going to have the Costa Rica kind of wildlife surrounding you. So yeah, it just really depends person by person. Some people want to kind of live off the land. Other people want to just kind of have the space where someone else takes care of the space for them. So it just really depends on person. But you can move into a single family home for a few extra $100,000 where you have some advantages that you might not have. But like I said, it really just depends on the person. If you're looking for a place where you can actually call your own and you can actually move into a single family home, it would make all the sense in the world.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Another topic here that's usually one of those that can be a bit uncomfortable for folks, but really is something that is concerning. You know, just like you and I turn on the TV and we see, you know, media bulletins about what's happening in other parts of the world. And a lot of times it's not good. A lot of times it is scary to us to think that there's bad things that happen. And the truth is they happen all over the world. And although Central America is not exclusive from that, there are places that you can go. And if you're looking for trouble, it will probably find you. But the reality is that in all of my experiences, and I know with the other members of our team here on the call, that really, truly, you just have to go see for yourself. I mean, who better to make that kind of judgment call or that opinion than yourself or somebody that's actually been there and done it. You know, this is one of my favorite quotes here on the screen is take caution into consideration. Of course, we want to be cautious, right? We want to know where we're going and what to expect, but also qualify the opinions around you with firsthand experience and knowledge. And, you know, each country in Central America is known for different things. They all have different, what internet calls, you know, their safety or their crime index. And something to note here is that the real estate prices and cost of living are low in the area because of that false belief that there's a lack of safety or a lack of security. And, when you're going to countries that you're not as familiar with, as you are with your home country, you want to know what parts of the city or what parts of my area do I want to avoid, which others are going to be great and fun and exciting and at any time of the day. And the best way to really figure that out is to go get your boots on the ground, talk to bartenders, talk to taxi drivers, talk to other expats, because at one point, all of these people were in your shoes as well. And so there are parts of Costa Rica that are more safe than others. Typically, what we see is that in these expat communities that Andrea will talk with you about here in a couple of slides, in those expat communities, the locals, everybody's happy for them to be there. They're happy to have these people talk so highly of their country. They want them to invite their friends and family down, because a lot of times the locals are proud of their country and they're proud to share it with the people that come to visit. So that's not to say that there aren't bad apples or aren't bad parts. And as the further away you get from, these more trafficked or populated areas, you definitely want to take a higher amount of caution. But in general, it's not all the bad news that you see on the TV. But just to talk about investment just a little bit, I know we're not selling you anything today or anything like that, but if you are in the market for a rental property, investment property, or maybe something you want to buy now, rent out now, but maybe live in later, just take a look here. And what you're seeing is essentially what we're calling our investment appreciation potential for these different countries in the region. So countries down on the bottom side, the bottom left-hand side of the screen, those are countries that are still trying to find their place in the market. They haven't been marketed very well as someplace like Mexico or Pacific Coast, Costa Rica, for example, which is at the higher right-hand side of the curve. These countries have a lot of infrastructure in place. They have done a great job of marketing the country to different parts of the world in major airports and things like that. They've had extensive work done as far as what's drawing people, and they've built on that, right? Whereas Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua have had the bad media, and they've really had these huge hurdles that they've had to overcome. But the point I'm making here is, remember when we talked about safety usually dictates the price of the market. Homes in Caribbean Costa Rica, for example, not necessarily an unsafe place, just a place that hasn't yet been on everybody's radar as much as Pacific Coast Costa Rica, where the prices for real estate there are a little bit higher. And when you say that they're a little bit higher to buy in now, it's probably going to start earning you a cash flow quite quickly. Whereas something in Caribbean Costa Rica and these countries on the bottom left-hand curve, probably going to take a little bit longer to start generating a regular cash flow, but your appreciation is hand and foot over what you would expect in Costa Rica. So I don't want to go too deep into the woods on that, but if that is something that you're looking at as far as a property, what meets your goals? Are you looking for something right now to start generating revenue, or are you looking for the long-term appreciation gain? So Dan, talk to us a little bit. I know Andrea did a good job of setting you up for this earlier, but talk to us a little bit about climate and weather, because that was one of our top 3 considerations today on this webinar with our folks in attendance.
Yeah, so I just got back a few weeks ago. Every day there was beautiful. I don't even think it really rained, but we went during the dry season. So that's kind of what we were looking for. We were looking for, hot weather. I haven't gone tropical in a little while because of COVID. And I think that a lot of people right now are wanting to go tropical. And so, yeah, it really depends on the time frame that you go, but we were specifically looking for, warmth. And then if you want, like sometimes, I mean, me personally, when I think of Costa Rica, I think of lush green, and even in the dry season you can still get that, but if you go in the rainier season, you are going to get that more lush environment. So I like to go back here right away where it is in the lush season, where I can get a little bit more of the Costa Rica, what most people I think rainforest. Of course it's there, but of course if you go during the the wetter season, you're going to get that more lushness. So it just really depends on what you're looking for. But we were definitely looking for sun, and we got sun. And so it was up there. It was in the I'll have to do the conversion, but for Canadians it was 30 to 35, which I think that's going to be in your 90 to 100 range in there. But every day was a beautiful day while we were there.
Yeah, perfect. And you can see, like it says at the top of the screen, every destination in Costa Rica has its own perfect season. And something that we talk about down here a lot is, there is no 4 seasons. There's really just 2, wet and dry season. And, you mentioned rain and rainy season, and each part of Costa Rica has different levels of precipitation. But a lot of times you'll find with tropical little storms that roll in, or rain that rolls in, it usually rains through the sun and dries up and back to just going about your business within 5 to 10 minutes typically. So tropical showers are the best because they don't typically ruin your entire day.
One thing I'll mention, Ali, right quick, is I noticed that it wasn't humid. So with the ocean breeze, it was comfortable for us, even when it was the hottest days, where I've been other parts of the world where, it was a hot day and it like took your breath away. So one thing I will say is even on the hottest days, and I'm Canadian, so I don't do super heat too well. I love the heat, but I'm used to the cold because I am in Northern Canada. But even for me, it was comfortable, where I know some places you go, it's not comfortable. So it was really nice weather.
Yeah, that is a good point about humidity, because it can take your breath away at times. But all right, so with our polls, we also have some fun facts just sprinkled throughout to make your visit or your trip to Costa Rica a little more enjoyable. So fun fact number 1 here is that soda in Costa Rica does not equal a soft drink. In fact, sodas are these little roadside kind of restaurants that serve local type cuisine, your beans, your rice, chicken usually, for a very, very low cost. So you can get a great meal, a great local meal, probably cooked by a local and served to you by a local in this very vibrant type of landscape and building here for about $3. So if you're writing down budgets and you're making a plan, check out where all the sodas are located so you can make a best plan for you. All right, healthcare. We do have Miss Andrea here to talk about healthcare with you guys. And again, this is just one of those topics that comes up a lot in the conversations that we have with clients. And each country has its own level of healthcare. Places like Belize are still putting healthcare systems in place, whereas somewhere like Costa Rica, other places like Nicaragua have these great healthcare systems and facilities already. So Andrea, talk to us about what you can expect to see healthcare wise in Costa Rica.
Thanks, Ali. Well, this is my favorite one. So I get passionate about it. So the healthcare in Costa Rica, it's one of the best in the world. Like they declare that it has one of the highest and best life expectancies in the country. Costa Rica, they're always trying to get to update the equipments in the hospitals, either the public and the private ones. The same with the infrastructure. The doctors are really well prepared. The Caja is the Social Security. Caja would be the one that is in charge of the public health sector, but they also have good relations with many private providers. They contract their services when they need it, in case the private sector has better equipment for their patients. The Caja is financed by the affiliates. It's like a relationship employer-employee, which they have this principle of solidarity between them, and each of them have to pay a percentage of the employee's salary, about 7 to 11%. It depends on if it stays the same, it can increase. So it would be about $60 to $250 per month. Everybody can be part of these affiliation, but at the same time, they have this principle of universal healthcare. So even the people that are not affiliated and cannot contribute, because this is also funded by the government, can go to these public hospitals and health centers and all that. It is important also to know that a woman that is pregnant has a baby, the newborn will be covered for a year for free to go to any of these facilities. And the important thing that I see that they have is that the primary attention for them is really important. In 1995, they made this program that is called EBAIS, which is Equipos Básicos Atención Integral, which is like a basic health care, in which a team of 5 people go to the different towns. In that team is included a doctor, and they see that everybody has their vaccines. They give them these education in health, primary care. They don't only see the patients, the people, but they also take care of the pets, see that they have all the vaccines. They see how the state of their home is, if they have breeding grounds for mosquitoes where they can get, dengue, chikungunya, Zika virus, things like that. So they try to see that every town, every place is a standard, is good, or if they are in high risk, so they have to take more care of that area specifically. So I think that's pretty cool that they do, because primary attention in many countries that are underdeveloped, they don't see it as important. They care more about having more hospitals instead of having more health centers, in which you are more focused into educating people in health and avoid them to go and overcrowded hospitals when they don't need to, right? For the expats can go to the public because they're residents, of course, but they can also go to the private. As the private, you have, of course, to pay. It could be out of pocket, or they can be part of the government private insurance that is called Instituto de Seguro Nacional, which will cover both the private and the public healthcare. And the country for a while didn't allow international health insurances to be in the country, but since 2007, I believe, or 9, they said that it's okay. So the expats can not only have to use the government private insurance, but they can also have an international one. That it is good if you want to have prevention in case you get any catastrophic disease that that might need coverage for other hospitals in other countries, or have an air ambulance to take you to your home country. So you can do that. You can get private insurance local that not necessarily has to be from the government. The doctors are really good, as I was mentioning before. Many of them are bilingual. Many of them work in the caja in the morning as public doctors, and in the afternoons they go to the private offices or hospitals. Many of these doctors that work in the caja, for example, if you go to the one public hospital, and you see that it's too overcrowded and you want to see your doctor in the afternoon, that doctor can help you with prescriptions for the caja, so you can not have to pay much for your medication, for example. If for private, if you pay out of pocket, it is totally that is one of the things about beauty of Central America, that even if you're not insured, it's like 3 times less than in the United States, for example, right? It's about, if you go to a private office, it will be about $60 to $75. If you go to a specialist, it's like mostly like the most expensive, it will be $100. If you get some x-rays, it will be under $100. So you can see that it's pretty affordable, even if you don't have health insurance. The best hospitals that you would find in the country are located in San Jose, in the capital. Are 4: CIMA, la Clínica Bíblica Católica, and la Clínica Unive. Those everybody can go to those, and those are private. But in each place, like the expat communities, they do have their hospitals, the clinics, but they don't have the infrastructure and the equipments, all the equipments that the the hospitals that you would find in the city. But it is a good thing that it's another thing that is very interesting is that there's a medical tourism in Costa Rica, a lot of that because of the affordability and because people know how good is the healthcare. About 40,000 Americans come every year to get dental care and see doctors, specialists, because of the good quality that they have.
Right. And tell me a little bit, Andrea, because I know that you have some experience in each of these countries, you know, in the healthcare sector. Like as a medical professional in Costa Rica, what kind of training would you typically see from these guys? Like where do they go to school? Where do they get most of their training from?
Most people from Costa Rica would get training inside the country, but when they want to do their fellowship, you know, their specializations, many go to other countries to specialize. They can go to the United States, Canada, Spain, Mexico, Argentina, depending on the type of specialization you want, because you find out there are countries that are really good for that. Like when we were talking about Mexico last week, Mexico has great training in pediatrics, neurology, geriatrics. So if you go to Mexico for a specialization, you would get pretty well trained for that, especially because the type of diseases that you were going to see in Costa Rica are very similar to the ones that you see in Mexico. Like if you go to a first world country, you won't see the same, right? You won't see dengue, chikungunya, those types of things, right? But other things like cardiology and neurosurgeon, things like that, they go to other places like the United States, Canada to specialize. And also they do tons of courses and seminars in other countries every year to be updated.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I know at the beginning of this section, you mentioned that Costa Ricans are some of the healthiest people and have the longest life expectancy. And there's actually a place in Costa Rica that's called the Blue Zone, where folks there, your average life expectancy is 90 years. So that's really cool. So thanks for sharing all of that good healthcare information with us. We are here at poll number 3. Now, I know we've talked a little bit about Costa Rica being the eco-adventure kind of capital of the world, but Costa Rica is actually known for being the capital of something else. So Costa Rica can be called the blank capital of planet Earth. And so there's some choices there. You'll notice it's not the eco-adventure capital of the world. River, jungle, tortilla, hummingbird. Gosh, I feel like you guys may have been listening to me as I practiced this presentation, but the answer is hummingbird. You all get a gold star today for getting that correct. So actually, there are tons of hummingbirds in Costa Rica, although only 2 are native to Costa Rica. One is the mangrove hummingbird on the Pacific side and the emerald hummingbird from the Caribbean. So, but there's a place called La Paz where you can go and see over 50 different species of hummingbirds. And being from West Texas, I think I only saw one kind of hummingbird in my life. So I'm excited to get to go and experience that myself. All right, so Dan, since you were just in Costa Rica, talk to us about how we can go from one place to another, what the transportation costs look like, and some different things that we can do.
Absolutely. So yeah, I again just came back from Costa Rica, and we had a car rental. And so I think I'm going to speak for myself, but I think a lot of the reason that people go to Costa Rica is to explore. And it depends. Some people go on vacation and, you know, they stay in the hotel a lot, but I think one of the main draws to Costa Rica is going to explore and see the rainforest and the waterfalls and what have you. So if you're going to explore, it makes all the sense in the world to rent a car. And if you are going to rent a car, make sure that you plan ahead. Because if you show up, then just like a lot of countries in the world, they may upcharge you than what you would pay online if you booked it beforehand. And that's kind of what happened with us. Is we had one booked, and then our flight got delayed, so we had to cancel it, and then we had to pay a little extra. And so if you're going to stay at a hotel, or you know, if you're going to visit, that's different. But if you're going to go and you're going to be there, you're going to want to rent a car because you're going to want to see all the sites. And what's really neat about Costa Rica is you can go a half an hour, an hour, and it's a completely different vibe. So I, you know, went around to a couple of different places, and there were some places where they were very, you know, we went to Samara, which was very relaxed and chill, and then we went to Tamarindo, which is a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more people. Surfing's really, really good there. I went on the beach, and I've seen like 300, 400 surfers. I've never seen that before in my life. So that was kind of neat. And that, you know, just, you know, you can get around also with taxis if you want. They have mopeds, so you can have rent some mopeds, and that's kind of neat where you can travel around on those in the cities. So yeah, it just really depends on, again, per person what you want to do. But if you're going to be traveling and you're going to be exploring, it makes all the sense in the world to rent a car.
Yeah, perfect. And if you are going to rent a car, I do highly suggest you make sure that you are going to have data in the country that you're in Costa Rica, because once you get on the road, you'll want to be able to have access to your GPS and things like that. There's some great different platforms for directions and things like that, like Waze is one that's used down in this part of the world. But again, like you mentioned, it just depends on what you're looking for. If you're going to stay close to your place of accommodation, whether it's a resort or Airbnb or something like that, you know, you may just need a bicycle. Depends on how far you feel like you need to go to get the feel for Costa Rica.
And Ali, right quick, the one, because you just made me think of something, is I'm an Apple guy, but Google Maps is the way to go in Costa Rica. You actually, if you're in a no service zone, you actually can still use the GPS portion, which was really cool that I found out while we were there traveling around. So
that's a great tip.
Yeah, Google Maps is the way to go.
Cool. Perfect. That is something definitely to jot down. And if you're not an Apple person, you know, well, we'll just leave it at that. But no, but it's probably a good idea, you know, like you said, if you are in a no service zone, to have a backup like that in place, and just be able to test it out and see what you're most comfortable with. All right, Andrea, over to you to talk about the top 7 expat communities in Costa Rica. We know there are many, many others, but these are the ones we have found and talked to the most people and given us their experiences. So tell us about where these places are, Andrea, and a little bit something original about them.
Yeah, so these communities are all in different areas of Costa Rica that we wanted to show you, because it depends on what you mostly like. They're divided they show different locations and different weather as well. Like, for example, in the central areas, if you're looking to be in spring-like weather, more temperate weather, there are places that are located in the valleys. The best areas are Atenas, Cartago, Heredia, and Escazú there. Atenas is mostly for retirees. It's about like 8,000 people that live there. It is located in the Valle Central, and you would see a lot of farmers markets, like people unite in the Central Park. There is a really nice church. So it is like very peaceful, small town for people. So if you want something like that, that is like you have parks, you know, trees, things like that. It is a really nice place, and the architecture is very like Spanish colonial, and most of these cities are like that, Spanish colonial. Cartago is the other one. It was Costa Rica's capital. It is a little bit bigger, well, a lot bigger. It has about 22,000 people there, and it is by the Volcan Irazu. It has also amazing architecture. It has really rich history because it was the Costa Rica's capital. Is a little bit more like a city compared to Atenas. Heredia is also a city is a little bit, is similar to Cartago, but with about 18,000 people living there. It has a lot of museums, cultural activities. So if you would like more of that, you know, to go and visit the churches and museums, more like a type of European vibe, these cities are the best place to be in. They are mostly located in valleys, so that's why the weather is a little bit colder. It's about above 1,000 meters over the ocean. Tamarindo, it's located, that's if you like more the tropical weather and to be close to the ocean, Tamarindo is located in the northwest of the country. It is in the ocean, in Pacific Ocean. This is for people who love surfing and to be in a place that, you know, like all year round, you're more like using shorts, you know, flip-flops, if you like that type of vibe. It is great for surfers. It has great restaurants, hotels there. In that same side, I wanted to mention also Golfito, which is also in the Pacific Ocean, but it's in the southwest of the country. It is, what is very interesting about Golfito is that it is a bay inside a bay. So even though it is in the Pacific Ocean, the water is very calm. So you would see, and you would get beautiful views. There is a hill that there is a land that is going to be developed soon, and you get really great views of the ocean, and you're also very close to the beach. So if people are not like interested to be like in the same level as the ocean, you can have a nice place by a hill, overlooking the ocean, and then you can come down and go to the beach. So Golfito is also a very great place to be in. Patrick went there last year and he really loved it. There were really nice restaurants, hotels. It's still developing, but you can find anything that you need. You can find hospitals as well and places that you can go to. And in the Caribbean side, you can see Puerto Viejo, which is also a beach town, very pretty much like Tamarindo and Golfito, but it's in the Caribbean side. They call it that, they say that it's really good for surfers, but it's really not good for surfers that are professional because it's Caribbean Ocean. It would be good for me because
I was going to say it's perfect for me.
Perfect for me. Yeah, it has like really nice waves to learn surfing. And it is more a Caribbean vibe, like more as a Caribbean island. And you would find the difference in also the culture, the dishes in both. You know, this area is going to be more Caribbean type of food, and the other one is more like Spanish type of food. So all those areas have like their own feel to it, and it depends mostly in what you're looking for in terms of wedding, of weather, in terms of that type of vibe that you like. If you like to be more in a more adventurous, or you want to be more like in a peaceful place with, if you want to retire, or if you want to be with kids, come as a couple or come by yourself. So you have everything for everybody. And another thing that is interesting is that in the Pacific side, you would see that more North Americans move into, and in the Caribbean side, you see more Europeans going to. So,
yeah, which is really interesting. Yeah. That's just how the dynamics go. And I heard you mention something, and I just want to like reiterate it, is really everybody on the line here today probably has a different scenario and a different end goal. And, you know, we could spend hours talking about each one of those look like, but we're here to help you kind of narrow down what it is and where it is you're going to fit in. And there's a lot of things that come into play when making that decision. So we're always here. Our inbox is open at questions@EcoVillages.Life to really walk through what your end goal, your destination, what you want it to look like and what you want it to feel like. So you also mentioned, Andrea, and thank you for that, is mentioning schools. We've seen now more than ever that there are people that are choosing to relocate, you know, ahead of retirement. In fact, they're looking to bring their school-age children down to this region of the world, and they want them to be immersed and to learn these different cultures and to learn about these different parts of the world firsthand, which is really kind of cool. And but with that comes the fear or the challenge of finding a place for them to fit in and to get a level of education that meets the expectations needed to go on later to college and things like that. So you do have some options in Costa Rica. Public schools, typically when we talk about public schools, this is your local schools that the local children go to. It is free to attend, but typically you're going to pay for your own school supplies and things like that, similar to what public schools look like in North America. Private schools, you're going to pay for out of pocket. Obviously, there are some incentives for people to want to go to private schools or to send their children to private schools. There is a minister of education which sets the standards for these private schools to ensure that people are keeping up with the quality of education needed to go on into higher studies. You're looking at a cost of about $850 US a month for that kind of service. Whereas international schools, they are located in the Central Valley region, the Guanacaste provinces, and you're looking at about $125 to $1,500 a month for those international schools. And something that's neat about the international schools is typically those are taught in English, sometimes French, depending on which school you go with. There are other ones that teach in German in other regions or other countries in the region. So there's tons of different options for international school, but they're not quite as spread out as some of these expat communities. So if you are bringing your kids along with you and school is something that you're going to be sending them to, homeschooling is a whole nother thing, right? Homeschooling is another thing. You can live wherever you want to do the homeschooling. But if you want your kid to be able to go to a school and meet some of his counterparts and other kids that are living there and maybe along the same journey that you are, you'll want to look into places where those international schools or private schools are located. And fun fact too, the literacy rate in Costa Rica is 96%. And I know that may not be an exciting thing for you guys here on the line. As a former public school teacher, I can say that that is huge. That's a huge literacy rate. And just like Costa Rica has really paid attention to bringing education, medical education, to their local citizens, they are also very, very dedicated to bringing education to everybody, even those that are in the remote little villages, in the deep parts of the valleys. They are able to learn via radio, which is really cool and just something I just wanted to share with you guys, which is really exciting. All right, we're getting here toward the end, and I realize that we're about 4 minutes ahead of the hour here. And I want to note that I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to join us. But I do understand you probably have a life to get back to at some point. So if at any time you need to drop off this presentation, feel free to do so, but rest assured that we'll be sending you the recording as soon as it is ready. And so if you need to jump off, you're welcome to do that. But if you do have a question before you leave, please drop it into the Q&A section and we'll make sure to get back with you with that answer. So Dan, tell us a little bit about the food.
The best pina colada I've ever had in my entire life. I'm serious. I had one and it was like I've never had one before. And we actually went from place to place to see who had the best one. The place that won, they were deadly. They were good. But yeah, no. So I had we had an Airbnb that we had at some of our stay, and then we went and stayed at some hotels. So we ate from the land and then we ate at restaurants. So the one thing that I really liked is you can taste the organicness of the food there, how fresh it is, where a lot of the things that you get in North America, you can tell that it's been, sprayed or pesticides or what have you. So that's one thing that I noticed is when we started cooking ourselves, just everything was so fresh. We got a lot of things from little markets, and we tried a lot of different things. And then also, I'm originally from a coast. And I don't live on a coast right now, but the fish dishes were really, really amazing in Costa Rica. So where I live right now in Canada, I don't usually get fish because I don't live on a coast. So when I get to an area where I'm on a coast and the fish are right there out of the ocean, so I went with a lot of fish dishes and they were amazing. So if there's people that are watching this that really live in an area that they don't get to really have that freshness, definitely cook your own food, and you can't go wrong with a fish dish in Costa Rica.
Yeah, beautiful. I just like food. So just all of it.
Me too.
Right. So
And it's
perfect.
good price, and it's good price too, right? Like one of the previous slides, you can get, you could get, rice, beans dish for, and some chips for $3, right?
Right.
Where, that might cost you, $15, $20 in North America. So no, the food was amazing.
Yeah, awesome. And usually on this next slide, we have our celebrations, and there's usually food involved when we celebrate. So Andrea, talk to us a little bit about some celebrations in Costa Rica.
Sure, Ali, thank you. Well, the celebrations in Costa Rica, they last a long time. Like we have the Palmares celebration that is in January. It's the most anticipated celebration after New Year. More than 1 million people go between locals and tourists and expats. This is about 2 weeks of concerts, music, dances, food, as you were saying, tamales, everything that people like. They get soccer games. They also, another particularity about it is they say that it's the second festivity that they drink the most beer after Oktoberfest, which is pretty funny to know. And you know about Oktoberfest, Ali.
I know a little bit about it. I have a little bit of German heritage and come from an area of Texas that does a lot of celebrating for Oktoberfest. So I'm very aware.
Yeah. So they made all these festivities. The people can go to all these concerts, music concerts and all. They can go for free, but there are also events that you have to pay tickets for. And what I found it really interesting is that the earnings from the events, most of the earnings from the events go to the orphanage in Palmares. Palmares is a town there, so they do that, which I think is pretty cool, very nice. The other carnival is a Limon. It's a port city. This one is in October. This is also a celebration where they show the typical food of Costa Rica, and they have one day. This celebration lasts about a week, and they have one day that is called Dia de las Culturas, which is the Culture Day, in which they celebrate the arrival of Christopher Columbus. It arrived in the Caribbean side in 1502, and they celebrate this arrival because of the different. After that, so many different ethnicities came to the country. And they have, Africans that came from Trinidad and Tobago. So they have all these dances from all these areas, many Asians, North Americans, Europeans. So it's pretty cool that people can get together and celebrate their diversity, and how I'm sure like expats will feel great, to be celebrated that way, because you can see that people are really happy to have different tourists and people coming to live also become residents in the country. So this is another very anticipated carnival in the country. And the other one is the Festival de los Diablitos. It's like this is a dance. It's a indigenous festivity, and this is from the Boruca culture, which is an indigenous tribe in Costa Rica. This is in a place called Rey Curre in Punta Arenas, which is one of the provinces of Costa Rica. And they have these dances and games when they use masks of devils, and that represent the natives, and a bull that represents the Spanish conquerors. And they represent all this colonization, because it's like very much part of the identity of Costa Rica. It was declared part of the cultural heritage of Costa Rica in 2017. And anybody that wants to be part of the event can be, like many tourists and expats can be part of them. So you can go to any of these festivities and enjoy through the whole year. This one is in December, from December 30 to January 2nd. So it's like, you have
perfect time to join over the holiday season.
Yeah.
There for sure. So here is our last poll, which will lead us into our last topic. Again, thank you for sticking around with us. If you're still on the line, what is your timeline? When are you looking to either relocate or maybe own that investment property? What does that look like for you? Everybody's at different steps in their journey. Maybe you're just starting out. Maybe you're just beginning your due diligence and you're not quite sure. maybe you're ready right now. Maybe you've already decided, you know what, I'm tired of living the life I'm currently living, which is a lot of people right now. It's kind of what I said to myself 5 years ago. I'm tired of living this rat race. I'm ready to go and live the life of somebody that is able to enjoy these different cultures and enjoy living. Maybe you are ready, but you're not quite there as far as settling some different things that you have going on in your home country. Maybe it's, the sale of a home. Maybe it's, waiting for your kids to be out of high school before making the move. And it looks like a lot of you guys, in fact, all of you at this point are in the research phase or a couple of years out from making your move. So, and that's awesome. I'm so glad that you're here with us on the line today, because you are now a step closer than you were about an hour ago. So something that we mentioned we would talk about is this idea of turning from a tourist to becoming a resident. And I'm just going to preface this section with saying that this changes so frequently. And again, especially with the digital nomad visa, there are different requirements for different industries when you're coming into the country as a digital nomad. So it's really best just to reach out to us and tell us what your specifics are, what your goal is, how long you want to be in the country of Costa Rica, and what you plan to do while you're there. Again, a lot of times countries prefer that you make an investment into the country. And typically you'll see that your paperwork gets fast-tracked because they do see that you're making that investment into the country, which in turn becomes an investment into the people of the country. So if you're looking at staying in Costa Rica just as a visitor, you have 90 days from your date of entry to just be a tourist, to go out and explore. You do have to have proof of an onward ticket. There's different ways that you can do that, whether it's by land, by sea, or by plane. And if you're looking to establish a residency or apply for those provisional student visas, which some people choose to do, you can do it. Again, there are some different requirements that each person has to meet, but you can see that there's different types of residencies, from retirees to being a renter, meaning you're going to be in there, you're going to have to provide some kind of economic solvency that you are able to support yourself at a certain dollar amount. You can see there on the screen, it's usually about 2,500 US dollars if you're coming in and just looking to be a renter or a rentista. But then also you can look at depositing money into a Costa Rican bank if you are looking to stay a little bit longer. So again, these things change quite frequently as the world keeps turning. We see countries like to follow other countries and what they're doing, which is really how the digital nomad visa came about during this time in our lives. So just reach out to us, let us know what your end goal is. We're happy to put you in touch with our team of residency attorneys that can help you and really narrow in on what those costs would look like for you specifically. All right, fun fact 3 before we end the presentation today. We did mention this earlier, but Isla del Coco. Isla del Coco is the most remote part of Costa Rica. It is the largest uninhabited island, in the world. And if you are a pop culture fan like I am, in fact, Jurassic Park was one of the first movies that I ever saw in an IMAX. The beginning scenes of Jurassic Park that they refer to as Isla Nublar, which is Cloud Island, was in reference to Isla del Coco. And there have been some other films that have actually been, or movies that have been filmed in Costa Rica, like Congo, which is the movie about the big monkeys. And then also Spy Kids 2, if you're a little less on the scary side of your movie choices there. But pop culture meets Costa Rica, and why wouldn't you? I mean, it's a beautiful country, lots of scenery and lush environments to be a part of in a movie. So we always like to end these presentations with what we call our expat compatibility skill. And again, these are very, very subjective. And us as doing business in these countries place various weights on certain considerations. So for example, safety. Costa Rica is a safe country. We're not saying it's not, but we didn't necessarily rank that as high for this specific country because of various reasons. And whatever, you know, healthcare, for example, healthcare is great in Costa Rica as well, but for somebody looking to move to Costa Rica specifically, it may not be as high on your list. You know, if you are an adventurer and you want to make sure that if you, you know, fall or something like that, that you have access to that healthcare, then you may rank healthcare a little bit higher on your scale as far as ranking goes. So we gave it an overall score of an A, 91 out of 100, which is still really, really good. And since we have come to the end of our country webinars, we're going to put together a comparison chart of how each of these countries in Central America have ranked and grade them against each other. So stay tuned for that and make sure that you are on the lookout for that coming up. And mentioning that, our poll here talks about if you are looking in other countries in the region, maybe Costa Rica, you know, you heard about Costa Rica because it's in a lot of international publications. A lot of people talk about Costa Rica being a huge expat magnet country because it's an easy move. But the truth is that there are several countries in the region that may tick all of your boxes, or maybe even more so than what Costa Rica did. And so if you're open to learning a little bit more about those countries, please, please, please feel free to check out our webinar gallery, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But it looks about split. Belize and Honduras are also on you guys' list to check out. So yes, stay tuned, because we actually have a lot of exciting news coming up for Belize and Honduras over the next coming weeks. But yes, please do make sure to check out our webinar gallery on our website. I'm getting tongue-tied. www.EcoVillages.Life will have all of these on-demand recordings that you can access. They'll be delivered directly to your inbox, where you can stop and pause and fast forward and rewind as many times as you'd like, so that it best fits your schedule. But I do want to take a moment and say thank you guys for joining us. I'm going to take a quick look in our Q&A. Chris, great question. He said he's not sure if he missed it in the beginning. It looks like it's recording. Does that mean that my wife can play this later? Yes, Chris, I'm not sure if you're still here on the line with us, as we are over the hour, but it is being recorded, and we'll get that delivered to you as soon as it's done processing. Can you join as many webinars as you want? Yes, please, as many as you'd like. They are free, and they will always be free. We're happy to provide this information to you. You know, something that we always say, you know, internally, but also to you guys, is that we wish, you know, even 5 years ago, I wish I would have had people that were giving this information to me in a concise and condensed version. You know, you can go out and search Google as much as you want. But the truth is that that's not always the most accurate and up-to-date information. And, you know, having one person or a group of people that I can turn to for questions as they come up or come to mind, I think is really important. Chris also asked 8 megabytes. Is there high speed, and how high? How much for good high speed? You know, Chris, that's also a good question.
I can tackle that, Ellie.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, so I'm a techie guy, so I know my stuff, and I was physically there just a few weeks ago. So 8 megabytes per second is on the low end, Chris. And if you want, you know, it's still going to be probably 1/4 or 1/5 of what we're used to paying in North America. And yeah, hey, Chris, I see you give me a hey there. So yeah, that's on the low end. And so on their high end, you're going to be a little bit more per month, but it's not going to be a significant amount like you're used to paying, like people are used to paying in North America. But yeah, you can go up a lot higher than 8 megabytes per second. Yeah, good answer there. And Chris, I mean, are you working remotely? I mean, is that a high consideration for you? Because I do know that as digital nomads are coming into the country, they're keeping up with the need for that high-speed internet. So great question. Yeah, you saw the hey Dan, very good. French-speaking areas as the primary language. I'm not sure that that's
French
primary
Guiana.
language. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
in Latin America, the only place that they speak French, like a native language, is French Guiana and Haiti. That's it.
Yeah. So, but Chris, there are a lot of European and French Canadian expats in a lot of these different communities. So it'd really just be a matter of finding those high density areas for you. But happy to put you in touch with some people that are in those expat communities that may be able to answer more significantly. Okay, very cool. Good. So Chris, lots of great questions. Again, feel free to reach out at any time. That questions that you see on the screen there, questions at EcoVillages.Life, put you directly in touch with us via email, and is probably the best way to get in touch with us, just because we're able to answer those quite quickly. But really appreciate you all being on the line here with us today. Any closing remarks from the rest of our panelists this afternoon or evening, depending on where you are?
Just thank you very much for being here. Sorry that.
That's
and
okay.
thank you very much for being here. I'm very happy that we were able to talk about all these countries and that we find so many people interested in moving here. And we are very open to answer any questions you have, even the ones that, even if you didn't ask right now, you can send us an email at question@EcoVillages.Life, and we'll be very happy to talk with you and in email or Telegram, Signal, WhatsApp, whatever.
Perfect.
Yeah, and yeah, Chris, reach out to us, and anyone else, reach out to us. But one thing I was going to say is one of the coolest things that ever happened to me in my life was when I was there, and so there was two families of monkeys that were jumping around in the trees, and I've never seen a monkey unless I was in a zoo. So that was an experience that me and my girlfriend hold close to our hearts, because it was just really, really neat to be actually in in the rainforest and actually see that. And it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my life. And they even saw us, and they were still kind of just doing their own thing, and it was just a really neat experience.
That's a great little personal story to add here at the end.
Yeah, I can attest to that as well, Dan. I've seen monkeys live as a Canadian. It's a pretty special experience, and I've been fortunate to see them throughout Central America. So it's really, really cool to see them out in their natural habitat. But yeah, I just as a closing remark, I just appreciate everybody coming on and spending some time to hang out and get to learn with us. And yeah, if you have any questions, we're more than happy to help answer any questions or point you in the right direction for sure. Perfect.
Well, a big cheers to you all, and we hope to be in touch with you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.